Munzenberg's first idea was to create and sustain a worldwide anti-American campaign that would focus its appeal upon the mythology of its immigration. The purpose of such a campaign would be to instill a reflexive loathing of the United States and its people as a prime tropism of left-wing enlightenment. To undermine the myth of the land of opportunity, the United States would be shown as an almost insanely xenophobic place, murderously hostile to foreigners. Stephen Koch. The dissolution of the Soviet Union and opening up of China was not the defeat of communism. In fact, it set the stage for the ultimate triumph of communism and the total defeat of capitalism. John Jackman, communist. We are about to find out if the post-constitutional American order is sufficiently entrenched. Will Cackling Barbie win the presidency, or will she lose? The best polls and the best pollsters say she is going to lose. Of course, she does not need to win the election to become president. She merely needs a sufficiently adept cheat machine. Anyone who looks closely at recent elections knows there has been systemic cheating. Why would any American vote for someone like Harris? Naturally, a self-hating American would vote for Harris. Also, a disoriented American might vote for Harris. What Harris wants, then, is a country of self-hating and/or disoriented citizens. She also wants citizens who believe their votes are being counted honestly. The anti-American stereotypes of today, which form the basis of American self-hatred, were originally birthed by Willy Munzenberg, a German communist and friend of Vladimir Lenin who held leadership posts within the Communist International, Comintern. Working in Moscow after the Bolshevik Revolution, Munzenberg helped to shape Moscow's culture war strategy. As a propagandist, he made the world's most immigrant-friendly country, America, into a leftist byword for xenophobia. It was, indeed, his propaganda campaign related to the Sacco and Vanzetti case, which left long-standing marks on left-wing psychology. Sacco and Vanzetti were Italian immigrants and anarchists sent to the electric chair for murdering Alessandro Berardelli and Frederick Parmenter during an April 15, 1920 armed robbery. Munzenberg devised propaganda supporting the innocence of Sacco and Vanzetti. With help from liberals, communist agitation/propaganda turned the case into a celebrated story of American injustice toward poor immigrants. The relevance of this can be seen today when we look at America's open border to the south. 100 years ago, the communists depicted America exactly as the left depicts the MAGA movement today, as racist, corrupt, and hostile to foreigners. According to Stephen Koch, the communist movement sought to develop a kind of moral authority through the propaganda of righteous politics. It sought not the outright destruction of the American democracy, however much that might be desired, but practical influence on its culture, the placement of agents who would over the long term seek to smooth and promote the advance of Soviet influence and assist the apparatus in its work of espionage. Arguably, the practical influence gained over decades of active measures has led to very real political results. Today, there is a lot of contempt for Middle America and the old-fashioned values of flyover country. Many on the left are afraid of the right, even though most of America's traditional institutions have been subverted and are run by leftists. Paranoia remains high, despite recent successes. This paranoia is reflected in the leftist claim that America is racist, sexist, and imperialist. Koch wrote, "The Marxist-Leninist political culture is typically a playground for paranoiacs. That is one reason why a man like Stalin flourished within it. Paranoiacs are always projecting their own evil intentions onto others. Since communists are always plotting subversion, they are now worried about subversion against themselves. Of course, a new kind of communism is pushing up into the right itself. Consider the case of John Jackman, whose tweet is quoted above. Jackman knows the dissolution of the Soviet Union was part of a larger plan. He knows the opening of China was not a capitalist victory. Here we have someone on the communist side who sees the big picture. And where does that lead him? To MAGA. The two most prominent spokesmen for MAGA communism are former Bernie bro Jackson Hinkle and Has Al-Din. And they have skyrocketed to fame, being invited to Tucker Carlson's show as guests. They are pro-Putin and pro-Beijing. Trump's former national security advisor Michael Flynn has praised them. Naturally, they are allies of the Russian philosopher Alexander Dugin, who met with them in Moscow earlier this year. Hinkle and Al-Din support Trump because Trump's followers represent the American working class. Their communism is of the old-fashioned Stalinist variety, masculine and opposed to liberal distractions like climate change and racial justice. Breaking with the trajectory of Munzenberg's anti-Americanism, they do not care about immigrants or America bashing. They are what we might call pro-American communists who nonetheless side with America's foreign enemies. It is curious that Hinkle and Alden have gotten so much publicity. During an interview with comedian Jimmy Dore, they admitted to being provocateurs. To support Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un at the same time is more than a provocation. It is an inversion. And what do these provocateurs say about Donald Trump? Alden told an interviewer, "We have a saying as MAGA communists, which is that when you go to McDonald's, you don't go for the clown, you go for the burger." Nearly everyone misunderstands MAGA communism because MAGA communism is simply another game within a game. It is a further attempt to disorient the public. Of course, MAGA communism is boring because lies are boring. Take a look. Link. The story of MAGA communism is a small story, yet it illustrates how novelty and publicity can be used to misdirect and confuse the public mind. Across the political spectrum, America is a country where we find a lot of confusion. The left is confused, and the right is confused. A lot of disinformation has been taken in.